on this episode of Slainte. We're in Port Williams, Nova Scotia, visiting Planters Ridge Winery. We'll get the full tour of this picturesque location, including a closer look at the vineyard, a chance to try their sparkling mead, and the full history of the property from a co-founder of the winery. Today I'm on my way to Port Williams, Nova Scotia to visit Planters Ridge Winery. They're known for creating unique and inspiring wines, but they also make the province's only sparkling mead. I'm really looking forward to giving that a try. Situated on 150-year-old estate farmland with stunning views overlooking the Wellington and Union Dykelands, Planters Ridge Winery is a beautiful mix of old meeting new. To start, we get a full winery tour from the events and marketing coordinator, Leah.
So they were able to keep a lot of natural pieces here, such as these beams, which are original to the barn. So you can see the wood peg style that they've built it in, and they were able to keep those in place. Another part that I'd like to point out is the stones here, which all come from another about century-old barn that was on the North Mountain. So they were able to salvage those stones from the foundation to repurpose them here, adding to the natural pieces of the winery, as well as lastly, the beautiful bar top here we have. So this is actually originally an old tree that was in the parking lot. So we have that as the character pieces for our bar, as well as the countertops, 2 coffee tables, 4 benches, and a large 8-foot table downstairs in the basement.
We now head into the winery to get an overview of the winemaking process.
So the grapes will first come out onto a sorting table, and even though we've hand-picked them, there's always a chance in the fall, say that leaves and things could fall in, so we spend time hand sorting them, and the next thing that happens, it will go onto the grape elevator here. So the elevator will lift it up gently and drop it into our large press there, which then has a bladder inside that expands to press the grapes against the grate in the press, and it will drop down the juice into the drip table and then get transferred to the tank. The red grapes take a little bit of a different path. They start on the sorting table again, then they go up a destemmer. Essentially, it's separating the grapes from the stems in a really gentle way with something that kind of looks like fingers. It will go and pull them off as they go up so that we only get the good ripe red grapes. When that goes into the tank, that's where the fermentation process will begin. As you can see, there are temperature controls on each individual tank, and this helps us to do a long, slow, cool fermentation and also to keep the aromatics. So essentially for the fermentation process, we have the yeast put into the grape juice, and it will eat the natural sugars and create alcohol. And the second step that they'll take after their primary fermentation is down to the barrel cellar. It's a natural barrel cellar and the original stone foundation of the barn when John and Lisa had purchased it. The natural barrel cellar really does make a difference because it temperature controls for us, which is the perfect environment for our barrels. So you have French oak and American oak here in our barrel cellar, and so those will impart different flavors to the wines. After that 9 months, they'll be ready for bottlings. They will start mixing and tasting and see what really blends well together.
After the tour with Leah, we meet up with John, the winery's co-founder and head winemaker, to learn more about the history of Planters Ridge. Where did this winemaking thing come from? Was this a long time in the making?
No, it was something that I think I came to in the latter part of my career. We had the opportunity to travel to Europe a lot. It was really there that I really started to develop a passion for good wine. So I'd retired a few years early from my profession, and then it was sort of, okay, what's next? One Sunday morning, I was foolishly Googling wineries for sale. And up came Nova Scotia. Evaluated it, started did a little research on the wine industry in Nova Scotia, and found out that there was a fledgling industry here that we'd never heard about. We kept bypassing this property. This region area here was sort of central to the wine regions, and there was just something about it that felt like home. And so this is why we migrated or centered around this area. And then we took a closer look at this property and decided, okay, let's give it a go. There's enough land here that we can plant that we should be able to make a small winery. And so that's how we ended up here.
And what is the history of this building?
This property was originally a New England planter land grant property. It was in 1760. Silas Woodworth brought his family up from Connecticut. And this property stayed in the Woodworth family hands until we bought it in August 2010. And in recognition of that history, that's why we called it Planter's Ridge.
So how many vines did you plant in the first year?
5,200.
You know, exactly.
I was involved in one way with every one of them. We had basically three legs to our business plan. And one was make great wine. And because life is too short to drink crappy wine. Number two was to create an ambience here. Very comfortable ambience with a little bit of a wow factor. People come into the parking lot and they think, well, it looks like, I guess this is the winery. And then they wander up and then they get to the edge of the yard and now they can see the vineyard. And they stop because they can't believe the view. It's just wow. And so I think we've created that. And then the third leg of our business plan was education. And I was fortunate enough to be able to travel to Europe, to these different wine regions, and talk to people and really learn about it. So I felt, if we give really good educational tours here and try to impart some of that knowledge that I've, been fortunate enough to be able to gain, that we could really help the industry here. So we give a full educational tour here. We're the only winery that takes everybody through the whole process. When people leave, if they've learned one thing from me, then I've done my job.
Do you have a particular style or a variety of grape or something that's aging that you're especially excited to try?
I think some of these varieties are going to help enhance some, particularly on some of our reds. We're going to start to work more with those and really refine the direction. The more we can control our quality ourselves and really align ourselves with great growers, this is where we're going to have the biggest impact on the wine quality. And I've seen it in spades here. You get good quality grapes coming across our sorting table in the winery, and the wine almost makes itself. To me, again, I think we're making pretty good quality wine. We already out of the gate, we've only been open 4 years. We've already got lots of accolades, but it's not good enough. It's going to get better.
Next up on Slainte, we talk with vineyard manager Jesse as he gives us a closer look at the grapes. And we get to speak to assistant winemaker Dan about what's involved with taking care of the wine. After getting the history of the building, as well as a guided tour through the winery, I now wanted to learn more about the vineyard and the grapes they grow here. To do that, we met up with Jesse, the vineyard manager.
Day to day, I help take care of the plants and prepare managing kind of the next decision that's required to help us get to a good, healthy crop to make delicious wine with.
And how did you get involved with that?
I started initially in Europe, as a matter of fact. I went there to learn French, and I worked in southern France in a wine village called Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And by the time I finished working there, I realized that my studies with political science weren't as interesting as my studies in winemaking. So I came back to Canada. I'm a proud Canadian, so I was very happy to try and get involved here. Really, the winemaking and the grape growing are really what intrigued me, because we're making things that Mother Nature still has a very heavy influence on. And so we just kind of work together, and then you do your best, but at the end, nature decides how things will come to the end.
What kind of soil conditions do you have here compared to Europe?
The soil conditions here, where we are at the estate vineyard, it's like a loamy sand. We're on a bit of a glacial ridge here. And then we have another site over located in Centerville, and so it's heavy clay and suits two very distinct soil profiles. So they influence the ability of the plant to create different flavors or intensify different flavors too, and also kind of when they'll be ready to be picked. Again, in Europe, you can find both kind of soil profiles that we have at our sites, but again, kind of spread throughout different parts of the world. Like, for example, we have basalt over in Centerville, which is a volcanic rock, and you'll find that in Rioja, which is in central Spain. So it's interesting that we have some similar soil profiles to some very well-regarded wine regions. It's just we grow different grapes on those soils.
Tell me about some of the challenges that you have here growing the grapes.
Nova Scotia is unique in that our growing conditions are very particular. We have to work within a very restricted space of time for the growing season. So you really need to be on your toes and very focused, because to deliver that quality, raw material, the grapes, you need to work extra hard and be extra vigilant. You need to be thinking, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? A lot of things would love to attack the grapes.
And how do you combat those?
We utilize different spray materials, and we also use different cultural practices, is what it's called. So working out in the vineyard, removing leaves so there's better airflow, hedging the plants, cutting off parts of it to just help with the plant kind of focusing on other jobs.
It sounds like there's a lot of hands-on.
There is. On a small property like this, it's definitely a labor of love. And, the small teams that you build, you're really striving to create this kind of camaraderie. And it makes the work go a lot quicker. And it's really great to see the results, because when you look and you say, wow, I've worked on those plants, I've touched that plant 20, 30 times in this growing season, and then you get these beautiful grapes, and then you get to taste the wine, you go, it was all worth it.
What kind of grapes are you growing here?
We grow a combination of American-French hybrids. So that's where some of these varieties, we're taking some American genetics, and just by plant breeding, there's no genetically modification per se. We splice American and European, so we're getting European flavors with American kind of robustness for weather and growing conditions. And then we also grow a portion of vinifera, which is your true European grape variety, something like Chardonnay or Pinot Gris or Grigio, Pinot Noir, things like that.
Can you predict the type of flavors that the grapes will have depending on the season and the soil that they're growing in?
With a lot of training and practice, you can certainly get more accurate. Every once in a while, I get a pretty good prediction or a projection, but you do taste differences in different soils, even with the same grape, and that's kind of the beauty of the complexity and the levels of variation that you'll find in the wine industry all over the world. You can never replicate the same wine, because it's a human interaction with a plant interaction, with a growing season interaction in nature. So it is possible, but it's difficult.
How do you prepare the grapes for winter?
The plants on their own will start to prepare for winter, in that they'll utilize some of the energy that's left in their leaves to kind of insulate themselves with some sugar in the sap and inside the plant material. And then we'll leave them alone, and we'll only start to really prune them or prepare them for the next growing season, maybe late February. So they have a built-in system if you give them a chance to kind of utilize it.
We now head down to the vineyard to get an up-close look at the vines. So what varieties are we looking at here?
What we've got here at this site is actually Lucy Coleman, which is a red variety that quite a few wineries in Nova Scotia use, and it's very successful for our growing season. It makes a delicious, juicy red wine, and if you blend it and age it, you can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit more robust if you choose.
They look like they're doing really well.
Yeah, they are doing quite well. We're actually at a very important time of the year. We're just starting to see flowering.
Oh.
So that's when we're actually going to start getting grapevines coming, or grapes, I should say. So you can see right here this little flower with these little lines. So this is actually actively being pollinated.
Oh.
And now this will turn into a cluster, and then later we'll cut that off and make it.
You say it's actively pollinated, so it doesn't need any insects.
That's right. These are self-pollinating grapevines are. So at least the varieties we use. There's a few that aren't, but the vast majority in the world are self-pollinating.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and they have a really nice scent too. If you get your mug right in there.
Oh, okay.
They kind of smell like.
Oh.
I don't know. It's like a soap almost, like a light soap
Very
smell.
faint.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But each variety is different, and when you walk through your vineyard and it's in full bloom, we're just starting to get bloom here, you can actually smell the different varieties. So very subtle, but it is true.
So how long after they bloom like this when you start to see grapes?
Almost instantly, and within even like another 10 days, you'll start to see like teeny tiny, like pinhead green grapes. And basically, once we have what we call full bloom, from that point out, we're talking 90 to 110 days, you'll actually pick grapes. So that's kind of when we know that we'll be in the safe window for harvest and what have you.
Oh, it's very exciting.
It is exciting. I really like this time of year because it's just the plants doing this. We can't do anything about this. They have to make the decision themselves. So with this weather, it'll be good. Yeah.
Great. After talking with Jesse, we now get the chance to meet up with Dan, the new assistant winemaker who recently made a surprising career change.
I was a banker. I was a banker for about 10 years, but I always brewed at home. I brewed wine, I made whiskeys, all kinds of stuff. So it was really a passion of mine. This opportunity came up 3 months ago, and I took the jump.
So as the assistant winemaker, what does your job entail here?
So I really make sure that everything is super clean, and I just really follow the wines from start to finish. I make sure that they're at the appropriate temperature, and I make sure that they all have the adequate nutrient levels, and I just really keep them safe.
A busy job then.
Yeah, definitely.
So you guys make wines here, but you also make a cider and you make mead as well?
Yeah, the mead we have a honey producer up the road, and he makes great honey. And the cider as well, we're in the Annapolis Valley, there's apples everywhere. So we get great juice, and we make a great rum cider, actually.
Oh, so you're all local?
All local.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Next up on Slainte, I get a sneak peek at their sparkling mead. And we sit down with Leah to taste the wine. Through our conversations, I discovered Dan was working on his first mead. While not quite finished, he offered me an early sample of the product.
Fresh mead, brand new.
I'm so excited. What? Look at this.
And it's not super clear.
Yeah.
I haven't filtered it yet, and it's so new, but
Oh my goodness. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, it's delicious just like this. You do other things to it though.
Yeah, we definitely we let it age a bit longer, and we filter it. Can I show you the other one?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So it's the same thing, filtered, but carbonated.
Ah,
So that would be the
that's
sparkling.
the sparkling mead.
Yeah, you can give that a try. And you'll notice the nose is completely different.
It's so clear. It's completely clear.
But that one, what do you think of that one? Is it better with the sparkles?
Oh my
Like
god,
the
it's so
bubbles in it?
good.
After getting the full tour, learning the history of the location, and getting a closer look at the winemaking process, it was now time to sit down and taste the wine of Planters Ridge Winery. So today, the first wine that we're going to be tasting is our Elevation. So this is a sparkling white blend that we made. It's a Prosecco style-like wine. It's got Lacadie, Frontenac Blanc, and Muscat Ottonel in it. So this one's a really nice structure with some really nice bubbles in it, some fruity flavors. So go ahead and give that one a try.
Ooh, has kind of like a strawberry scent to it.
Yeah, there's some citrusy notes in it as well, really crisp and refreshing.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so good. So fresh, but it has such like a splash of fruit to it. That's kind of
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah, this has been a really popular one for us.
Oh, that's really nice.
So the next wine that we're going to try is our Tidal Bay. And so to give you a little bit of a background, it's a wine that's unique to Nova Scotia because it's our appellation wine. So currently in the province, there's 11 Tidal Bays, and we basically need to meet certain criteria to be able to create a Tidal Bay and have that label on our bottles each year. Now the Tidal Bay and appellation is the same as Champagne is from Champagne, France, Port's from Portugal, Scotch is from Scotland. Well, Tidal Bay is from Nova Scotia, so you can only make it here and call it Tidal Bay.
Oh.
So this is our blend here of Lacadie, Frontenac Blanc, Frontenac Gris, New York Muscat, and Seyval. So this one we have some notes of pear and pineapple, it's tropical, and we really try to focus on the aromatics of the wine, so you'll get a really nice aroma from that one as well.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, also very delicate. It's actually softer, I think, than the Elevation was in a way.
It is, yeah, it's really easy drinking, beautiful summer wine, especially really chilled.
Very, very nice.
Fruity, light, sweet, but not like too tart.
Yeah, absolutely.
good.
And the next one that we'll be tasting is our Infatuation. So this is a sparkling Dornfelder Rosé, which is really interesting because Dornfelder is one of the more rare grapes in Nova Scotia, so it's not commonly grown, and it's vinifera from Germany. So this one we also carbonate at the end, so it's sparkling, and this one has some really beautiful floral notes and some delicate apple and strawberry as well.
What an interesting color.
Isn't it gorgeous? That's all 100% the Dornfelder.
That smells amazing. That's more aromatic than the title was. I'm surprised.
Yeah, this one's got a lot of those beautiful flower notes coming off, so it's a really, really elegant one.
Very nice. Very nice. Not as sweet as the title bay.
Yes, this one has that sparkling effect as well. So it's an off-dry rosé. So a lot of people think they're getting a lot of sweet when they drink the rosés, but we try to make a really balanced wine rather than sweet or really dry. This one just kind of came about from the grapes that we had, of course, of the Dornfelder, which they decided to use as a rosé, and it has taken off. It's a real favorite for a lot of people, and it's just a really elegant, beautiful sparkling that we make now. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So the next one that we're going to try here is our rosé, which is a blend of Baco Noir and Frontenac Blanc. So this one I would say is the essential summer patio sipper. It's really nice because it's got some strawberry and summerberry notes in there, but it's also not a sweet rosé either. So you've got those beautiful fruity notes, but it's really got a nice bright acidity to it, which makes it nice for summer sipping.
Yeah, it smells a little bit more, like a little bit more acidic, maybe?
Yeah, it's got these nice, a bright acidity to it and these nice strawberry and summerberry flavors.
Yeah, very nice. Smooth.
A little bit of cherry, yeah, it's really easy drinking with all those fruity flavors without being heavily sweet.
Yeah, it's
just
not
those
sweet,
fruity.
but it's very, very smooth.
Absolutely.
Nice flavors, I like that.
And the last one that we'll be tasting today is our signature red, Quintessence Red. This is a blend of 4 different grapes. So we have Lucy Coleman, Castel, Marquette, and a little bit of Pinot Noir. Now, it's hard to grow a really full-bodied, heavy red, a big, bold one because of our cool climate. So we do make a little bit of lighter reds in Nova Scotia, but this is a medium-bodied with a really silky smooth finish. So that's what we try to focus on at Planters Ridge, is the silky smooth aspect. So you'll get that with a little bit of earthiness and fruitiness.
I see what you mean by medium-bodied, but it's still got a nice, nice little kick to it. Like it still feels like warm and inviting.
Yeah, this one's great. We often see a lot of our customers come and use the fireplace in the winter, and this is definitely a go-to for them. So it's really popular and well-received among all of our guests here, but it's a lovely one by the fireplace in the winter.
What is this aged in?
This is aged in French and American oak, so a combination. Our winemakers will put the wine into the barrels, the separate varieties go into separate barrels, and then they'll go through and taste, and they use both French and American for this blend.
It's got a nice flavor to it.
Thank you.
So this is your favorite?
Yes, that would be my favorite.
Oh, excellent. Oh, very good.
Thank you.
Planters Ridge Winery is a gem of a place. Located on farmland that dates back to the 1700s, a visit here is an absolute must. Their wines are delightfully aromatic and fresh, and their meads are like nothing I've ever had before. I'm definitely gonna have to take a bottle of that home with me today. Well, maybe 2.